Oh my God. Welcome, everyone. 50 minutes late. Jesus. We got it working, kinda. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if it holds out. If it holds out, we're having a party. If not, I'm going bed because I'm well fredders with it. Cheers, everybody, for waiting. You absolute set of savages and maniacs. I was waiting that long for the internet to start working. And for those who are watching this tomorrow, who just clicked on it and it worked, sound. Everyone that's watching this live, though, has waited 50 minutes for this to start because my internet just wasn't having it. Some stupid update on Apple. Nice one. Yeah, it took that long that Aaron Maguire managed to get back from the halfway line and clear it for me. I was here. I was on time. Right, should we go through what's been said and then I'll tell you what I know? Because I'm a man that knows things. Not a lot of things, mind. But I do hear the occasional whispers. So, Paul Hurst from The Times says Erik ten Hag still has reservations about taking the job and is yet to accept United's offer. Ten Hag is thought to want to have a say in player recruitment. He believes that changes will be required to the squad. And he also wants to bring in a number of coaches with him, including his assistant, Mitchell van der Gaag, Steve McLaren, who I think distanced himself from it this weekend, actually, and Robin van Persie. David Ornstein said Ten Hag is close to making a decision. I don't know where people are getting this from, by the way, but it is what it is. On what club he will join next. And should Ten Hag choose MUFC, the dialogue can accelerate over a contract, which would need to satisfy his expectations. Nothing's going to be officially confirmed until they've got the KNVB Cup final played on the 17th of April. Timeline lines up with some of the stuff that we've been looking for, doesn't it? Sports Witness are saying that the managerial failure since Alex Ferguson retired will be an obstacle for Ten Hag. It's rather an incentive, provided he will be given at least one season. I mean, you're going to need a lot more than that, our kid, and have a huge say in building the squad. And Ten Hag hopes to enter into a partnership with Ralph Rangnick at United. I like the sound of that, as he did with Mark Overmars at Ajax. And then Sammy Mockbell from the Daily Mirror says Ten Hag's likely destination is MUFC, despite genuine interest from Germany. RB Leipzig, supposedly. United's attempt to appoint Ten Hag are at an advanced stage. Right then, Stevie, what do you know? I know that the talk of some of the people contacted is true and some of the people contacted is not true. And I also, exactly the same as Paul, I probably heard that from the same person Paul Hurst is, which is he's not yet accepted it and he does have reservations. The reservations are correct. And like, we spoke about this last week. Someone said, oh, he wants a lot. He doesn't want a lot. He wants the bare minimum that's required for him to be able to successfully do the job. Doesn't want a lot in the slightest. All I'll say is some of the people that have been contacted about this and some of the reports that you've seen about people that have either rejected this or distanced themselves from this, not true, and actually a little bit more complicated than that. And I'd for those that have supposedly rejected coming working, not necessarily that they're going to happen. The exact word I believe is it's complicated. So I guess we will see how that goes down. For me, this is very straightforward. Ten Hag requires certain assurances that he's going to get to do the job. Under Ed Woodward, I wouldn't have believed him if he told me today was Monday night. But Richard Arnold, as far as I'm concerned, has got a free run at this. Like some of you are mentioning the people in the comments. I'm not going to put it out there and say, you guys can put two and two together and figure it out yourselves. But, you know, there's people that have been contacted and there's some people that there's not. Notch says it's complicated, like a Facebook relationship. In a lot of ways, yeah, I would say. Apart from that, how's everyone's day, by the way? Me and old William had to run for the train again twice today. Every fecking time I got to London, I end up running for the bleeding train. Not how long we're there for and how long we've got to get. It's complicated like my internet, correct. And Ahmed might have just nailed it in there. How good was seeing Chucky? Well, I wasn't there today. And I know people are like, wait a minute, doesn't Vibe with Five record in your studio? No. And the truth sounds weirder than a lie. But here's the truth. Rio built a studio that's the exact replica of ours in Manchester, but in London. That's the truth. That's 100% the truth. I will show you. Was my calves all right catching the train? No, because I did a hike yesterday that fucked my feet so bad. Honestly, it fucked my feet so bad. Janine can vouch for this. I had to crawl up the stairs on my knees last night. So calves, sound. Plates of meat, fucked. So yeah, if you ever been like, those studios look identical, they fucking are identical, except they're 200 mile apart. I will take a video in there because the way that you can tell they're different is the ceiling. And the one in Manchester is a bit longer, but they're the same width, and they look almost identical. Colgate says FTB not credible. FTD, which I'm assuming means the now dead channel of Full Time Devils, not credible as in bed with the club. Really? Not in bed with the club. What fucking proof do you have of this? Because I'd love to know if we was in bed with the club, because it'd be nice to fucking work with them on some things, wouldn't it? Let's be honest, right? As fans of the club. But we're not. And also, don't you think some of the fucking, like, heavily anti-Glazer stuff that we say, I don't know, every day, would probably be like, hey, lads, do you fancy toning that down somewhat? Fucking lunatic. Jed says, didn't Janine design the studio? Does she get royalties from Rio? Yes and no. Bath salts for the feet. I think it's just plantar fasciitis. It's just overuse. Mr. Holland says, many reasons to why I want Ten Hag, but the main reason is for him to start Maguire up front. Looking forward to this. Darwin Núñez, yes or no? Right, for me, absolutely yes. Now, I did see all the reports that was coming out about him today, and yeah, like you lot, well excited for a bit of Darwin Núñez, our kid. Love a bit of Darwin Núñez. Whether or not we're going to get him, there's other clubs in the mix for him, and I think the reports that came out early doors about him have probably got some validity to them. He's going to want Champions League football, and he's going to have a pick of clubs. Isn't Núñez very similar to Lukaku? He's a big lad, but I don't think he's similar to Lukaku. I think they're totally different ways of players. Do me and Rio share the same internet provider? Well, mine's Sky, so I don't reckon we do. Yeah, I'm going to say, I don't think so. We'll get Milinkovic-Savic in 5 years. You don't see how much timber Schneider's put on, by the way. Damn. Harry Maguire's top 3 centre-backs in the Prem. Is he might be in the top 3 centre-backs called Harry Maguire. Luke de Jong, not a bad player. Free summer signings go. That's... I mean, I'd love to... It depends on who goes, and I think there needs to be a lot go. How far apart is United and Ten Hag? I think we've made our offer, and I think he's aware of it, and I think it's going to be up to him, however he figures this out, in all honesty. Opinions, it's gone. Ahmed says, hope you have a great night. Well, I'm going to bed after this, so it probably won't be that great a night. If we all chip in a fiver, can we fuck the Glazers off? Probably not, in all honesty. Like, United like to play on the fact that they've got like 6 billion fans or something, 600 million fans. But do we? Like, that report was based on how many people recognise the Manchester United logo, but Liverpool fans and City fans will recognise the United logo, won't they? So it was a flawed survey, in my opinion. Miles said, I went to Amsterdam this weekend, watched Ajax versus Rotterdam. Always liked him, but would you believe me if I said Daley Blind was man of the match? Yes, I would. I thought he was a great player when we had him here. The problem with Daley Blind was, when you think of Jose Mourinho players, someone who's cerebral and little, like Daley Blind, absolutely gets a fuck. Fellaini, has he got elbows and is he 6'4"? get him in a team. That's what Mourinho's all about, isn't it? Callum says, watch the pod with Rene and Jade again this morning. Absolute class. Yeah, I watched it again last week. It's fucking mint, innit? Fucking class. That's sometimes when you pinch yourself and you go, shit, this is cool, innit? And today's podcast, actually, with Kieran Richardson, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the podcast with Kieran Richardson, who someone's career was probably a little bit underwhelming, I would say, at United. Kicked on probably at Sunderland more than anywhere else. And I think we bought a bit of the media narrative with him and at United and how he was portrayed. And like when Joel told me about what the idea was for the show that him and Poet are doing, and Poet I fucking love. Poet is a different type of human. Like, he will come at something just the opposite angle to anyone else, and I love people that make me think like that, and Poet makes me think like that. Don't necessarily always agree, but he definitely makes me think, and I love people that challenge me like that. When I first started working with Five, one of the first things I wanted was Poet on the channel. I think Poet's a fantastic YouTuber, and someone that's entertaining and interesting, and I really enjoy him, and I wanted him to be part of the channel. So I'm so fucking happy that they've managed to find this. Joel did the pilot episode of Ballers and Watches. Ballers and Watches is Kieran Richardson's show on Five, and my initial response was, that's going to be an absolute fucking cringe fest. I think I said that on the podcast today. It's going to be a serious cringe fest. Fucking Premier League footballers talking about their... I mean, like, Kieran today was wearing a £250,000 watch on the podcast. And I'm thinking, this is just going to put people off. Like, I don't want to hear about millionaires talking about their fucking watches. And I just thought, this isn't going to cut it. But then I watched the show because, you know, I'm open-minded and I'm going to see what it's all about. And I was hooked, and I was like, this is brilliant. And he comes at it from not a showing off angle in the slightest. It's an educational angle. And I think he explains about how, you know, people invest in different things, and, you know, you might invest in a house. The house is going to go up X, but you've got to involve lawyers and solicitors and all these sorts of people. But then with a watch, he goes, I'll just sell it. He goes, and I pay the tax on it, and then I'm done. Bosh. And when he explains it like that, you go, wow. I'm obviously not going to be able to play the game you're playing, but I get more about what you're about. And I actually think, weirdly, Kieran Richardson's show, I think Kieran himself is a good YouTuber. Out of nowhere, he's interesting, he's engaging, and that's why he was good on the show today. Some guests that you get on, you ask him a question, oh, talk to me about your debut. Yeah, it was good. What, is that it, mate? Fucking hell. I had Clayton Blackmore on for a warm down, and I think he just stepped off the golf course. He was in all his golf gear. He might as well have had one golf glove on still. And I was like, Clayton, you've obviously just been part of United coaching staff. Mason Green was just broke into the first team. Talk to me about what he was like coming through. And he was like, oh, yeah, we're good. Is that it? Jesus Christ. Give me fucking something to work with, mate. But then you get people like Kieran, and they're engaging, and they're a great chat. And yeah, it's a real joy doing podcasts with that. And do you know what? Rene was exactly the same. Came bringing his stories. Obviously started talking about the 1991 Cup Winners' Cup final, which I fucking love. And, you know, everyone's a winner, aren't they? Pranay says, when do I reckon Ten Hag will be announced? I reckon after that cup final with Ajax. Happy says, despite my love for Ronaldo, do I think him staying is a good move for the club, and hope mental health's getting much better? Love from Dallas. A video I did the other week, some of you may have missed it because it was one of the more longer ones, a bit like this. I said I wouldn't keep hold of Ronaldo next season. I think we had to see if it had worked coming back. The Premier League has moved on. I think United needs someone a bit more dynamic. And even though I'm glad he came back, I'd shake his hand and tell him to go and enjoy the MLS or something. It didn't work. No hard feelings. You know, he's probably going to end up clear our top scorer. And it hasn't been the problem that some people think, but I'd go in a different direction next year. Abanev says, do I think Ten Hag will get time, or will it be a 3-year cycle that ends in tears? Till we get good at selling players, any manager is useless. I think he's going to need 5 years. And we spoke about this on Vibe with 5 today. I think it's United need to think in a 5-year reset right now. Anything before 5 years is unrealistic. And I think if you thought about a 5-year one, you'd probably be more in line with reality, I think. Good Intention says, Stephen, you any good at Pro Evo? Used to be. Couldn't say I am anymore, to be honest with you. Alex Darlington says, saw Huddersfield scored a goal a few minutes ago from a corner. Brilliant set play from a championship team. Not seen United do anything near that, the quality of the whole season. So embarrassing. We should get a set piece goal, shouldn't we? That'd make us dead good at those. How good is Levi Colwill, by the way, at Huddersfield? I can give you some insight on this. There is multiple Premier League teams that have bid a lot of cash for him. If Chelsea lose Rudiger this summer, they could do a lot worse than just playing that kid, because he is mustard. But there are Premier League teams that have bid real money for him. Rene or McLaren? For me, I'd go with Rene. But, you know. Can't read that name, but here we go. Assuming you can only go by your intuition, do we believe the Glazers will eventually sell? And if so, when? I do believe they will eventually sell. I have no idea when, though. It could be another 20 years. I think they're just fucking milking us for everything that they can get at the moment, aren't they? Jerry Starr says he'll go back to Sporting. I think he's talking about Ronaldo here. Ahmed says the one thing about Ronaldo is going over Ten Hag tactics. It seems like he wants a forward to drop into the middle, which Ronaldo does. I think his movement has just ceased, to be honest with you. Alex Bailey says some of the talent that Chelsea have out on loan is ridiculous, genuinely ridiculous. I think the rules are getting changed next season for that. How's my training going? I'd had a couple of weeks off with illness, and I went to go and do 10 mile yesterday. I ended up doing 8. Well, 8.5. And my feet are in absolute clip from it. I didn't think I'd be able to walk around London today, but I was okay. I did want to do something else tonight, but I only got in at 8. And then I was trying to set up, and then, you know, it took till nearly 10 o'clock to get going. What are the rule changes on loan? Off the top of my head, I can't remember. When am I going back in the army? If all goes to plan, it'll be as a reserve, won't be full time. So I shouldn't be stopping doing YouTube or anything like that. So subscribe, you slags. Hopefully January. After the World Cup. And I think probably not going to go and do pre-season. We had a bit of a conversation today about the plan for the World Cup, and I think the World Cup's something to go and experience, even if it's going to be an absolute fucking shit show. But I think that might be something that I'll go and do a month and try and get some training in there. Nice bit of warm weather before, you know, digging holes in Catterick. How's the league application process going? I don't know. I'm just waiting out to hear the next stage now, which is an interview, I think. Luke says, what's the chances of Ten Hag getting the job with his demands? And the Glazers say, sorry, there's no funds because we aren't in the Champions League. Good luck. Jesus, I hope not. I think they do throw money at it when we're out of the Champions League. They tend to do that. It's about whether they can continue to do that and continue to allow him to make the changes. Klopp was allowed to make the changes to his first 11. Sometimes it's not about the amount of money you spend, it's the amount of personnel you're allowed to change. He needs to be allowed to do that. Arjan says, controversial question here. Would I accept no European football next season, seeing how Champions League is unlikely, so we can focus on the domestic cup and league form? I would, yeah, because that Europa Conference is going to be shit, isn't it? The any interview with me and Jay was unreal. He used his class and charisma. Would absolutely love him to come back with Ten Hag. Same. What's the best way to get into coaching? Just go to your local club. Every single club is desperate for volunteers, so no one will turn you away. Any news on surgery? No, but I did get. So I've used private for. I'm with Vitality for private healthcare, right? And my first sort of initial stuff that I was doing absolutely flew through. I've got compartment syndrome in both calves, and I'm going getting sliced open for it. The speed at which I was like MRI'd, assessed, all that sort of stuff was lightning. And it was like, there on a Thursday, hey, do you want to come in on Friday and get chopped up? Wow. Sorry, on the Monday and get chopped up. So I was like, yeah. Over the weekend, the dude had been to a conference where he spoke to a guy that was a specialist in compartment syndrome, pure coincidentally. The dude that he was speaking to has got a lab at Leicester Infirmary. So he goes, look, rather than me just slice you open, there's 4 compartments in your calf. This guy does 2 of your compartments, just does the pressure and then slices them. He said, I want to send you to this guy, considering that it's the army that I'm trying to go back for. It's going to be a strenuous thing. Let's get back in the mixer properly and do the test properly. Let's go to the lab and get you checked out. This is over a month ago now. They phoned me up on Monday. And this is what it must be like having healthcare in America. So Leicester Hospital phoned me up and they're like, hi, we're just checking that you've got coverage and how you're going to be paying for this lab visit that you're doing. And I was like, all right, yeah, so I'm with Vitality. And he was like, okay, Sam, is this your email address? Yeah. And then they said they was going to send me a form. They haven't sent me the form yet. That was a week ago. It was last Monday. So now I don't know. I'm just fucking waiting for ages. It's just completely ground to a halt. Hopefully that's quick, and then I can get straight back in the mixer. But the longer it fucking goes, the more I'm worried about how little time. No, I've been checking spam. I'm just worried about how long it's going to take to recover in that. Why the UK government allow egomaniacs to own football clubs doesn't make sense to me. The fit and proper persons test is just fucking neither, innit? It's ridiculous. How are we sanctioning? And no, people don't take this the wrong way. I'm not fucking an advocate for Roman Abramovich in any way, but how are the speed at which they sanctioned this dude? Yeah, Saudi Arabia, who like they know killed journalists, was just oh yeah, what about it? Yeah, go on then. Yeah, sound. Fuck me. If they try sending him to Tameside Hospital, do a runner, ain't that the truth. Jackal says they have no faith in the club getting Ten Hag. He's demanding things in writing. If reports are to be believed for assurances, the club always went yes man. If he doesn't get what he wants, it's time to riot. It's genuinely time to riot because they've just proven that they're not willing to do the necessary things to make us a successful football team again. You see the guy being interviewed talking about how he always wants to, they're addicted to winning and shit like that. You're addicted to fucking meth, mate. What you on about? You're addicted to winning. You had the most winningest English club, the most storied, historic, fucking glamorous football club in the world, and you've turned us into a fucking absolute crumbling shithole. Deck Roberts with a super chat there. He says, applying for football coaching. I see City are connected to Manchester Met Uni. Just shows how behind United are in the community. The fucking community doesn't exist. Absolute does not exist. United do nothing around here. City did a load of guerrilla marketing like 10 years ago when the Sheikh's just recently taken over. And I was jealous because it was fucking class. The Mancini stuff at the bottom of Mancunian Way. Manchester United, you wouldn't know if it wasn't for the amount of fans walking around Manchester, you wouldn't fucking know that Manchester United was in Manchester or associated with Manchester. They do nothing in the city centre. And that sort of complacency, people will grow up, right? People are fucking bandwagon jumpers, aren't they, right? People will grow up supporting City, surely on the fact that they play fucking good football and they're getting wanked off left, right and centre in the media. Did you see that fucking shit show this weekend? Jesus titty fucking Christ. talking about the fucking Liverpool and City rivalry. And they finished like first and second twice or something. Liverpool have, or maybe 3 times. Liverpool have won it once and come second twice in 30 years or something. It's the greatest rivalry the Premier League's ever had. Shut the fuck up, honestly. I know we're going back, but it was still the Premier League era. For 9 years, only United and Arsenal won the league. That's a rivalry. Fucking hell. Who's my dream guest to interview? Fergie, innit? But the thing is with Fergie, I don't think you would get... you need like 44 hours to interview him, wouldn't you? Where do you even start? I'd definitely ask him about the 1991 Cup Winners' Cup and how it was the catalyst for every bit of success that he achieved afterwards. But you need so long to interview Fergie that there's hours on his signings, there's hours on his fallouts, there's hours and hours and hours on tactics, there's hours on rivalry. There's so long that you can talk to him about so much. Mark says, growing up in Manchester every year, we had City coaches in my school giving presentations, inviting kids down to a coaching session. Correct. United do a little bit with the foundation, but honestly, it's a fucking little bit. A little bit. That's it. It's fucking pathetic. Dale says, someone earlier said that Klopp and Pep have set the benchmark for success and it's the greatest rivalry he's ever seen. He looked no older than 20. Well, it might be the greatest rivalry he's ever seen. It's like me at fucking 11 telling you that Paul Ince is the greatest fucking player I've ever seen. Because it's all I've ever seen. I didn't see fucking George Best, and I hadn't seen Cantona yet. Fucking maniacs. Would I like to interview David Beckham? Or would his constant positivity drive me mad? I would love to have an off-the-record conversation with David Beckham, but I don't think... I would still do it, obviously. It's David Beckham. He was a fucking... one of the most underrated footballers of all time, which is mental to say, but he was, because people just see him as some sort of superstar. You don't get that sort of superstardom if you're shit. He was fucking genuinely world class. Like, United and Beckham especially, I've got this Uber PR thing going on where you can't be real. David Beckham would be a sensational guest, but he wouldn't say anything. He wouldn't give you an opinion. Like, I'm trying to think, who did David Beckham have a run-in with? Simeone's an obvious one. I can't think of anyone else that he's had a run-in with. But even someone who he hates, he's going to be like, yeah, I respect him as a professional. And you're just like, he'd be fucking boring. He'd genuinely be boring. Like, you can talk to him about his free kick technique and this, that, and the other. He's going to be boring. He's going to be genuinely fucking boring. Roy Keane would be good. Roy Keane would be good because I think he would be interesting if he'd let the gloves off. And he generally does. Con says, I'd love to hear Bex call someone a right cunt. Can you imagine? And it would break the internet because it would be so out of character for him, wouldn't it? But it would be genuinely top tier content. David Beckham, let me tell you he was a right cunt. Fucking Thatcher. Whoa, where's that come from? Ahmed says, Steve, what do I think about how Pep managed to transform Bruno Silva from an attacking winger to a box-to-box midfielder and deep-line playmaker? I think he's not quite box-to-box. He's still very much opposition final third. But I didn't think he could do that with Bernardo Silva. I thought he was more of a winger, like you said. Scholes will give you an unreal different chat. Yeah, Scholes, I think you're going to be honest about. And I know there's some stuff coming with Scholes on 5, which is going to be really cool. And not just Scholes, there's some right stuff coming out on 5. What do I think about the Neves links? I'd be very excited if we got Neves. I think he's an absolute fucking baller. He's the next Carrick. Really intelligent sort of footballer. Steve, what managers do I take inspiration from? Fergie, Pep, sadly. Actually, the books. Coaching transition play is a big one, and that, all of these lot on here are good at transition play in different ways. Maybe not so much Ranieri, but I'm not too proud to admit I play 4-3-3. This guy plays 4-3-3 very well, but we're all disciples of Cruyff if you go down the line far enough. I ever see Scholes up close? He looks pretty strong on telly. Yeah, I interviewed him, made him laugh. Asked him if he ever played football before. Fastlane Diary says, Steve, you have the reins for the final games. What 5 things, love it, would you try and give us every possible chance to get top 4? We're not getting top 4. Relax yourself. How's the training going, Steve? Well, if my feet weren't in fucking shit state the way they are, on the agenda today was the gym, which obviously I didn't get to do because London and then the shit show that's just happened. Tomorrow's 6 times 400 meters with 400 meter recoveries in between, aiming for 1 minute 30 for the 400 meters. So I might get up and do that in the morning. We're going with a baby somewhere tomorrow. I think we're going the Dinosaur Gaff near Trafford Centre, but I don't know what time yet. I'll ask Janine what time in a minute, or if she's still watching, she can tell me what time. Daniela Stewart said, we'll ask Sir Alex how close he was to getting the sack in the early 90s before United turned it around. Well, I spoke to Martin Edwards, and in Fergie's book, he tells him he rang him. He says Martin Edwards phoned me before the Nottingham Forest game and just was like, look, no matter what happens, you're safe. And you got to take him at his word for that. And also, when I interviewed Martin Edwards, all right, so we're not going there tomorrow. So maybe I can do the 6x400s tomorrow, maybe. Martin Edwards says, yeah, I was happy with all the stuff he was doing behind the scenes, so I wasn't thinking of getting rid of him. So you go, okay, sound. Aaron Quinn with a super chat. He says, if Ten Hag comes in, who's he loving currently? Garner, Alanga, any others? I think it could be Fred. I think he really could be the one that manages to pop in. Brian says, name 3 players I wish Fergie signed that went amiss. I can't say R9 because he was never in for him. And the same would go with Maldini. I don't think we were ever truly in for Maldini or R9. I know we were in for Batistuta. I think Batistuta's one. Benzema might be another. And even though you probably wouldn't have got Ronaldo if you did it, I think I'd like to see Ronaldinho at United. Also think that going on the piss in Manchester, the way he went on the piss in Milan, might have not ended well for him, but Zidane, nah. Wasn't Fergie in for Ronaldinho? It was done. Kenyon fucked that up. It was done. He agreed like 22 million on the phone, drove down there or got a fucking Eurostar or whatever, opened his briefcase, was like, so 19 million, do we say? And they were like, no, we said 22, get the fuck out. More or less. Notch says David Hurst. Gaza, I don't know if Gaza would have worked. And I don't know, maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. Shearer's the same. Yeah. I don't know. Shearer's career at Newcastle was good, but there was a lot of injuries in that time as well, so I don't know. Bale, Pete Bale, maybe Bale. Would I bring RH internally into United? RH is doing more than you fucking think. Not where he is at the moment. He was in fucking was it Hamburg he was at? I think he was at Hamburg a few weeks ago. He's out in Carolina. That fucker gets about. Fair play to him. I reckon if Ten Hag gets the backing, he will have the same impact as Klopp at Liverpool. I think it's possible, but I don't believe in the Glazers. I've been hurt before. I just expect the worst because I don't fucking trust them. Ahmed says, I remember Ronaldinho putting Barcelona on hold to come to United and even said he plays with United when he plays on video games. Fucking hell. Eliko says Neves and Tielemans and Bruno could work. For me, 100%. That would be a great midfield and probably not crazy, I think. Any more word on Paul Mitchell? No, I haven't actually had any more word on Paul Mitchell, but I know some people to ask. How good was Louis Saha barring the injuries? People don't know. People don't know. He was fucking unreal. Noah says, we need to protest against the Glazers because otherwise we'll never get beat. That's not very well formatted. Sorry, can't read that. In a nutshell, saying can't fucking... Ultimately, like, yeah, I think you do need to protest, but is it working? We've had loads of protests and fuck all's happened. DB Cooper says, I wish Saha could have stayed healthy. Not the only one. Marcus says, you need to interview one of United's scouts so we can understand what's happening. It won't be the scouts. Excuse me. I know some scouts. And I know a couple of years ago... who the fuck was it that we were looking at? It was under Jose. A fucking sensational midfielder. One of our scouts had been on numerous missions to go watch him. I can't remember his fucking name now. It's absolutely fell out of my head. Used to play for Roma. Shit top midfielder. Begins with an N, I think. You lot are going to get this before I can even figure it out, can't you? Can't remember who it was. A few years ago. Fucking hell. No idea. Not Strootman. Nangolan. That was it, yeah. I knew it began with an N. Nangolan. Yeah, I'd fucking loved him at United a few years ago. And it was like, I've put the reports in. He will be fucking sensational for United. And then the club just did not act on it. So, you know. Who was the most scapegoat player for United? I always got to blame even if it wasn't their fault. Berber got a bit of it. Berber did get a bit of it. Gary Neville got a bit of that, to be honest. Dave Wilton says, off topic. There's no topics here. Do I think Steve Cooper could be an ideal replacement for Southgate as England manager, doing an incredible job at Forest? Listen, I'm a fucking good shout for replacing Gareth Southgate. He's fucking garbage. What if Van Nistelrooy never left United? He fell off in a big way as well, to be fair. He had a sensational sort of impact, didn't he? Dennis says, wasn't Nangolan a right knob, smoking, boozing, and a bit crazy as well? Yeah, but I like chaos. I'm kind of into that. Call sign Mail says, I remember Thielman playing against us for Anderlecht and wanted to sign him. Just proves our scouting system's awful. That's the problem with this, isn't it? Like, we play against people, they look good, and it feels like that's what our recruiting's all about. And actually, in Fergie's book, one of the things he says was, if you scored against United, they would sign you. Like, that was the thing prior to him coming. He was like, fucking recruitment department was garbage. Wilco says Southgate is better than Ollie. No. You tell me at any point he's actually overachieved. He's won one game that he wasn't expected to. One. Fuck's sake. Literally one fucking game. He beat Germany when he probably wasn't supposed to. Outside of that, he's done fucking nothing. Luke says, I think Heung-min Son would be excellent fit for United with Ten Hag at the wheel. Agree, you're not getting him, no. It cost you 100 million trying to get him out of Spurs. He's their best player by far. Remember telling us about Rojo agent not talking to him because he wanted to move to Madrid and you couldn't interview him? Yep. There's fucking loads with Rojo's agent. Rojo's agent's ledge. He's no longer an agent because he's fucked it off because he hated footballers. How fucking cool is that, by the way? But yeah, there was so much with Rojo's agent, and he also didn't want to speak to him because he was like, Griezmann's just got a fucking Netflix documentary, or was it Anelka had got one? Someone had just got one anyway, and he was like, I want one. And he was like, yeah, all right, I'll talk to him. Fucking maniac. David says, why do people still have faith in Baye? The guy's awful. Don't believe him. And I honestly believe Maguire is better. Because the ceiling of Baye is above Maguire's. But with Baye, it goes, hey, ooh, injured, hey. And also, he'll do overhead kicks clearing it. And we like a bit of chaos like that, don't we? Mr. and Mrs. Talawas says, I have to say, this United team's the worst I've ever watched. Been watching for 30 years. Probably the same. Favourite champ manager? Got to be 0102, right, says Brian. For me, no. It's champ manager 2 is my favourite. Ed says Bay can give you a 9 out of 10 and a 2 out of 10 in the same week. Correct. Janice is in the comments kicking off. What are you kicking off about, Janice? Connor says Brian in the podcast earlier said same amount of truths about how the scouting is at United. Oh, McClare, sorry, yeah. Yeah, I'm gutted to miss that, to be honest. I am making it my stated mission to try and get Brian McClare as the third wheel on mine and Jay's podcast, because I think he would be absolutely sensational for it. Van Gaal and Mourinho past their prime when they got the United job. Maybe they were. And maybe the club just didn't fucking set them up for success. Brandon says, did Ferguson delegate his recruitment like coaching, or was he more involved in that? He did a lot of delegation with it, but I think he was rubber stamping a lot of stuff. I think he trusted his brother to do a lot of the major sort of reporting on players. But I think he also liked to get eyes on with someone himself as well. KOTH Mike says, let's just gather all the football lunatics into one squad. I'm about it. Kyle says Daily Blinn's the best centre-back we've had lately. Slow and short, but never beaten in the air and never outpaced. That's reading of the game, innit? You can't beat it. TV Memory says Van Gaal was a Champions League winner in 96. I think he was past his prime. Yeah, but he was also like, wasn't he a finalist in 2010 or something like that as well, or 2012? Like, the guy was still fucking good. The guy still had legit stuff that he knew what he was talking about. Eliko says Eriksson and Pookie are free in the summer. Would I take one of those? I don't know if I'd go with Eriksson, to be honest. I don't know if I'd go with either of those, actually, to be honest. Roberto says, are there other managers out there that United are overlooking? Why has the search been limited to Ten Hag or Poch? Do you know what I mean? Yep. You know what I mean? M1K3 says Mourinho wasn't backed. I remember him complaining about it. Yeah, his second season they fucking stitched him right up. Joe says, has Woodward 100% fucked off now? Seems like it. Seems like it. And let's hope so. Thoughts on Maguire? Think he's worth it to keep starting, says Xylon. Absolutely fucking not. No, I do not. But I also don't know. Here's how you'll know if Ten Hag's genuinely got any sort of sway whatsoever. If he's got any sort of sway, he walks in there and he goes, oh, slabhead, fucking sling it. And the club let him. Because at £80 million, they need to be able to write that off. You ain't getting that money back. That's gone. Forget about that. You flush it down the drain. You shouldn't have fucking bought him, but you did. So fuck it. Second season, Mourinho wanted Maguire, says Graham. The thing is, he would have played him as a counter-attacking player and he might not have looked so shit. But the club, or at least the current setup, wants us to be on the front foot. And if we want to be on the front foot, you can't have Maguire. William says, Southgate used to manage one of my local teams, Harrogate Railway, under 12s. Really? Loads of my mates played there. They'd always play his son, even though he was wank. Is that true? I don't know if that's true or not. Oh, fuck it, I'll believe it. Scones with a super chat there says, would I take Brennan Johnson? He's flying, by the way. Mitrovic, he's flying. And DJ Spence. I don't know. The championship's a hell of a league, but can you just get a load of players that are playing in the championship and expect them to perform at the top of the Premier League? Probably, you might get one. I don't know about getting a load of them in. Yasser says, read the article on Ten Hag on Sky Sports. It's very interesting. What's the title of that? Because there's probably about 50. Daniela says, let's be honest, it was going to be near impossible to follow what Sir Alex did for any manager. Yeah, I think what Sir Alex was doing was probably the job of three men. Ghost Fits Killer says Ten Hag would love Levitt. That's a very strong possibility, I believe. A very strong possibility. As says, would Sir Alex Ferguson be challenging with this team? I don't think so. Joda says, went to France 98, best trip of my life, fucking mint. Can't wait to do another one, but not going Qatar. From what I've gathered today, there's a massive fucking problem with trying to sort out going to Qatar. Like the requirements to film, the transportation. Suppose everything's on a big loop, but all of the stadiums are on a loop. So like, if there's 3 or 4 games happening all at the same time, then every fucking fan on the island is getting on the same train. That sounds like a fucking nightmare, doesn't it? Hotels are 10 grand. Jeebus. When are we going to see Mabry? I'd throw him in now, in all honesty. Same with Garnacho. Absolutely. I think it's same with Garnacho. Get my plastic chair throwing on point for Qatar. I'm not an England fan, so I won't be doing that. Look, if I'm going, I ain't paying for the hotel. I'd be going with someone who's paying for the hotel. And I would not be paying 10 grand. I'd be like, oh, it's just saying, oh, it's nice. Thanks for letting me come. Will McNeil get a debut before the end of the season? Sadly not, I don't think. Big Bag of Chips says Clough and Fergie were very similar man management, didn't allow shocking performance. Ruthless, and you know, had their good and bad sides, let's be honest. Clough and Peter Taylor's ability to spot players, though, was just fucking redonkulous. Edgar says, I saw your tweet about Paddock going fan-owned. Is the reality of what that will look like much different than my initial idea? Also, did my ideas change during the process? Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I started this without any sort of plan. So, yeah, it's completely evolved throughout this. There's a couple of people have been saying, like, oh, when can I take the shares out? They're not shares. The Barcelona model of fan ownership is both an example and a bad example of how it should be done. On one hand, their socios example, I mean, they don't want you to sign up. They make it so fucking difficult for people to sign up as a member. You've got to have like a family member who sponsors you to then become a member. And then when you are a member, you get no voting rights for like 4 or 5 seasons. And it's like fucking 250 quid a year or 280 quid a year or something like that. It's absolutely bonkers. But that's a more of a rounded out way of how it would work. You get your membership. The club is owned by its members. It's stated in its articles of association that it's owned by its members. Therefore, you are an owner. And as long as you're an active member, you are an owner. But you don't sell your share because we're not looking for people. This is not Manchester United. We're looking for a different way of doing things here. This is not going to be someone that's looking to profit on the back of shares. We're looking to build something. So I don't want people that are thinking this is going to be a money-making thing. This is building football club in how we think it should be built. I have my own ideas. Some of you guys are going to have your own ideas as well. It'll be voted on. There'll be fan representatives. It'll be put forward at board meetings, and it'll be actioned or not actioned. There'll be loads of things we get right and loads of things we get wrong, I'm sure. Diran says, how about Wan-Bissaka at centre-back instead of right-back? Fucking terrible idea. Absolutely terrible idea. His defensive instincts are not good. He's a good tackler, but you need more than that, and arguably you don't even need that at centre-half. Centre-halves just do other things rather than tackle 1v1. Someone's just said, I just missed it. Everyone's spamming in the chat, but wait, if you don't support, yeah, it was Chan says, wait, if you don't support England, who do I support? I don't support anyone. I support Manchester United. And I go watching international football just as a pure neutral, so I can enjoy all the games. I couldn't give a fuck about England. Do I think Lindelof will work well in the 10 system? I think he's probably the highest one up there at the moment. Favourite non-United player, past and present? Benzema presently, R9 previously. Brandon says, is Laird in line for a Premier League loan? What was the idea of going to Bournemouth, who's doing well at Swansea? Don't know why they switched it. to be honest, and it's not worked out for him. And I have no idea if he's going on loan in the Prem next season. DB Cooper says, I think we will have to kill the Glazers' Horcruxes before removing them from the club. Anyone know what the fuck that means? Omo says, what happened to Ball Street? No idea. Sagar says, has Barca sorted their shit out? From what I was hearing, they cleared a lot of the wage bill, obviously. I mean, Messi going clears like fucking 100 million or something off your wage bill. And yeah, I think they're getting rid of Griezmann. That was like 800 grand a week off the wage bill. So I don't know if they've fully sorted their shit out or if they're just making more money. Like the Spotify deal has meant that they're now earning more than they're spending. But they're like $1 billion in debt. How the fuck do you get $1 billion in debt? How good's your credit rating for that? What's my thoughts on Ten Hag getting full control? Do I think the Glazers and board of directors will agree to those terms? We will find out. Because if he ends up saying nah, then the only reason he said no is because they've not said yes to that. Is Griezmann the worst signing ever? I don't know. If I could choose one of Timber or Schlotterbeck, who would I go with? I'd go with Schlotterbeck. Dan Lee says, always agree, Steve. United bring back Pizza Club Thursdays. Ben's too busy. What's the most memorable? Where's that gone? Cantona goal I remember seeing. There's one with Arsenal where he flicks it over the top like that. The free kick against Arsenal. The chip. It's not that memorable in terms of how good it was, but like the penalty was so fucking cool. Against Liverpool. He's back, baby. Rishav says, can we win against Liverpool at Anfield or at least outplay them? Is that a serious fucking question? That can't be a serious question, can it? Jesus. Fucking turn it in. Mark says, stay, not knocking Ralph, but I expected... but he seems a lot more placid than I expected after performances like Everton. I expected him to rip players to shreds, a more nonsense approach. You don't know what he was like behind the scenes. Am I still wearing my Whoop? Also, how do I utilize it? Yep. Mainly for sleep tracking. The sleep tracking is absolutely sensational, to be honest. The sleep is... the sleep is massive to see. It's a bit of an early warning for illnesses as well, which is pretty good. And also, like, when you're getting over illnesses, have I actually fully recovered yet? But also just tracking to see if what you're doing. I mean, like, for the hike that I did the other day, it maps the route that I do, keeps a track of your heart rate and everything, all that lot. It's really fucking good. Yeah, it's the complete package. I had an iPhone. I had an Apple Watch, sorry. You got to fucking take it off every night to charge it. You forget one night, it's fucking dead. Whereas this lasts like 4 or 5 days. It's absolutely sensational. The features on it are phenomenal. And I think they're going to have even more of it. What do I think of Johan Cruyff as a player and a coach? The greatest. How many away games have I been to? It's a handful at most a season. The only time I ever used to consistently get away tickets was when I was still scaffolding, because they had an exec box and they would get a handful of aways every season. Prior to that, it was like 1 or 2 just proper fucking touted. The only time I ever got them on applications was with the execs. And I won't pay type prices. And I don't have access to execs anymore. So that's that. I'm not in the loyalty pot. Mark says, good to have not seen Gagan pressing. I had really high hopes when he came in. I think he wanted to do it. And then I think he realised he ain't got the ability to do it. Who's my next favourite Prem club after United? United's under 23s. Kylan says, Garnacho, when is he going to get an opportunity? Don't know. Connor says, you see Henderson giving it out to Maguire at England training camp just showed the difference between captains. Yeah, can you even imagine? Like, there's more than meets the eye with Maguire, and some stuff is not public, and I wish it was. I wish I could say some of the stuff that I know's happened with Maguire, but it's extremely obvious, and that's not good. So all I'll say is he's a bitch, and it's disappointing, and it's not something I could ever imagine Roy Keane doing. What's happening with Diallo? Fuck knows. Mental that City haven't sold their allocations for him. But are you fucking kidding me? Actually, I'm not even surprised. How do I think Lindelof will do as a DM? I don't think he's quick enough. Mr. Hoss says, just how good was Yap Stam? Today's kids don't know. He was fucking mint, honestly. Absolutely. There isn't another player that's come to the league for 3 years, won 3 titles back to back, and then fucked off. And then years later ended up in a Champions League final. It hasn't happened. There has not been a single player that's done that. Not one. Oh, sorry. There's been one, and it was called Yap Stam, and he was top. Ian says, youth team ready-made for a manager like Ten Hag who doesn't fear using them. I hope that they do the business at the end of the month and win the Youth Cup. That'd be absolutely sensational. Jed Starr says Stam was Rio and Vidic rolled into one. Yeah, and it was kind of like Rio's height, but built like a fucking rugby league player. Stuart says, just want to know why some of the youth haven't been given a chance. Past weekend, perfect time for Hannibal to come on. Disgrace, really. There's a lot to be said about bringing a player into a losing team. You know, there was probably some hope that the first team was going to get us back in the mix. And also, the step up is so bigger than people think. However, young players typically have scored on their debuts. It's a weird thing. Paul Lucas says, bring back Stam as a defensive coach. I need to ask, actually, Tyler Blackett played under him at Reading, and I wouldn't mind asking Tyler what he was like as a defensive coach. Or was he just someone that was so good defensively, but he could never replicate it as a coach? That's possible. Did I rate Laurent Blanc? Not at United. He was great before, like, you know, Barcelona, Inter Milan, but not at United. There's no way Stab could fix shitters like Maguire. No, he's gonna be like, have you ever tried not being shit? If I could sign anyone I wanted, who would I have signed in '99 to try and win another treble? Ooh, another centre back to go alongside Stam, because second season it was Henningberg and an injured Ronnie Johnson. I think if you'd have signed, who would it have been at the time? Mateus Sammer? Maybe he was a bit old. I'm trying to think. Year 2000. Cannavaro? Oh, shit, son. You signed Cannavaro as your ball-playing player to go alongside Yap Stam. Yeah. I reckon. Hang on. Let me pull up who had the second most amount of appearances. Oh, just realised laptop's going to fucking die. We are on 6%. There's going to be a couple minutes left of this. So, was it Monaco we lost to in the Champions League quarterfinals? Got to the quarters, didn't we? Let's have a wee look. That was the year we beat. Oh, we had some great results in that year, didn't we? Put 7 past West Ham. Wasn't that Rio's debut? That might have been Rio's debut. Champions League, it was... Oh, it was when it was 2 group stages, and it was Real Madrid. Oh, I remember that game. I do remember that game. We got fucking battered. Yeah, I do remember that game. Yeah, Real Madrid beat us. So, we conceded 3 goals at home. Let's have a look. So, Ronnie Johnson played 2 games that season. David May played 1. And Henningberg played 16. Who the fuck? Mikel Sylvester. There you go. That was who was playing centre half. So it was Mikel Sylvester alongside Jaap Stam. Or it might have even been Gary Neville playing centre half a little bit. Yeah, fuck it. You signed Cannavaro in the year 2000, and we win that treble again. Because we were still scoring goals. Dwight York only got 24 this season, I think. Andy Cole got 19 in 23. Is there been a more underrated forward than Andy Cole? 19 in 23 in the league. Come on. Cole got 20. Sorry, York got 20 in 29. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, fucking 12 in 15. We were still scoring goals. David Beckham, take a fucking boo, son. Doesn't have the list of assists on here. David Beckham chipped in with 6. Scholes got 9 in 27 starts. So, I mean, scoring goals, not keeping clean sheets. Cannavaro, come on down. Keno only played 28 games that year for us. Played all the Champions League games, though, interestingly. Only Dennis Irwin played more. Nesta or Maldini. Maldini was still playing left back, I think, at the time. Young John Terry. Fuck out of here. Right, I think this is absolutely wigging out. Nesta, that's a hell of a shout as well, isn't it? I'm going to wrap it up. Cheers for tuning in. Apologies for how late it was, but we got there in the end, didn't we? Nice one, everyone. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. If you want to support the channel, and maybe we can get better internet. It is what it is. Patreon link is in the description below, and I'll see you fuckers in the next one. Laters.